Critical Ops is arguably the best mobile FPS game to hit the mobile community. With its high graphics, unique maps, and CSGO type gameplay, it quickly became a fan favorite. It seemed like everyone was coming to the game. But what happened to the game? Where did it fall apart? And what is the current state of the game now? This is what happened to Critical Ops, the best mobile game ever. But first, please like and subscribe for more amazing content. I'm actually closing in on 10k subs, so please help that dream become a reality by clicking that subscribe button now, share this channel around, and let's get into the video. Critical Ops' early days of alpha testing in 2015 saw the game quickly become a fan favorite amongst mobile gamers, and people who just stumbled across it like myself. Since the early days in 2015, people from the other biggest mobile games at the time saw Critical Ops as the next big game and quickly moved to the scene. The competitive scene started out slow, with mostly smaller tournaments and no officials during the beta stages of 2016, but in 2017, the game took a massive leap forward. Millions of daily players and hundreds of millions of downloads came to fruition. Big orgs such as Valiance, Team Liquid, Gangstars, Nova, and many more began coming to the game. The scene looked promising as Valiance partnered with the dev team, who by the way was promising huge things to the game. This partnership meant that while the devs were not directly hosting major events, they sponsored Valiance to host these major events for them in the form of 5v5 diffuse CSGO type events. To be completely honest, it looked like the beginning of a mobile CSGO game that was going to be huge in the next few years. 2018 was the peak year for Critical Ops. The first official LAN was hosted, many orgs were thriving and playing for thousands of dollars every month. Even the devs seemed happy, and it appeared like they would keep hosting these major events in the forms of LAN for years to come. But this brings us to 2019. For me, it was my third year in the comp scene, the year leading up to my first CEBS major win. But for others, it was a downfall. So many people began to leave the scene. But what caused this downfall? And why were players leaving? What happened? Well, we need to take a look at multiple factors. One single event didn't cause this downfall, but rather a chain reaction of events. Now, in early 2019, a new game was brewing. This was COD Mobile, also known as COD M. COD M was already huge in the early betas, and it was sweeping the world by force. Everyone wanted to play the full game, so Critical Ops was going to take a big beating. This was no problem, however. Similar things have happened to other games when a new game was released. When Fortnite came out, the hype was huge, but since then, the hype has died down and other games have come back. So what else led to the downfall of Critical Ops? To put it simply, hackers. The hacking scandals of Gangstars players, Sea Silver, and Elite infected the scene. There was other pros as well who were exposed of hacking. This was all happening around 2018, some in 2017, and this has happened even up till now. Pro players are always getting exposed, and this has always hurt the scene, especially when it was in the top team. There's also a lot of hackers in ranked and casual matches back in 2018, and the devs just never really did anything about it. Like, there was always hackers, and this was a huge problem for the community. These events also led many big CC and other pro players such as Angel and iChase and many others just to leave the scene. Valiance had also announced it would host its last ever COPS tournament in 2019. And by this time, mobile eSports had also stopped hosting tournaments. So who was going to host tournaments now? There was also a few other things where the devs were not really following through with requests by the community, and things that they promised were never followed through. But these were some rumors and some true things, but for the most part, it was a lot of the devs lacked to listen to the community. Now, all these factors combined together really caused the downfall of Critical Ops. But was there any hope for Critical Ops? Yes and no. In 2019, Team Liquid, Valiance Endgame, and COL were really the last hopes for Critical Ops. All three of these tournaments were supposed to be pretty big, however, really only one of them was successful. Valiance Endgame went really smooth, and was a fun season. However, Team Liquid tournament was a complete disaster. And we're not really going to go into anything with the Team Liquid tournament, but this would be the last time Team Liquid would ever be in the scene. This leaves us with COL. COL was in its first global season, but the money was very low. Not to mention, the devs didn't provide them with proper streaming materials, nor really anything at all. So the tournament saw many teams just completely forfeits without any consequences, and in the end, in the NA scene, Merc actually won the grand finals, but they were exposed for hacking during the grand finals. The player who hacked was blacklisted and perm banned, and the other players were blacklisted, the team was blacklisted, and it was a complete disaster yet again. It's safe to say this was the end of the old era of Critical Ops. It ended in this complete downfall and the lowest point in Critical Ops history. Most pro players had gone to COD-M, and few CC remained. Even a lot of the old devs were gone. Not to mention, there were no tournaments being hosted. The only thing that seemed to remain was hope. The scene was left to a few OG players to lead a new wave of players that would keep the scene alive, and eventually at the end of 2019, a new tournament would be hosted by the NA scene, Revival Tournament. As the name suggested, it was a tournament hosted by some comp managers for $1,500 to help revive the scene. It was decently successful with Coolmark streaming the event. It was smooth despite one game where the old gen Seminole players came back and got DQ'd in the quarterfinals for nade stacking. In the end, the newer teams and players, both Capo and DYG, saw themselves kick it off in the best of 5 grand finals, where Capo dominated and earned themselves a major win.
Revival Tournament Season 1, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a pleasure to cast this.
We saw the second season of COL in winter 2020, and this time, my team, DYG, was on top. This was my first major win, and this time around, COL had an NA, EU, Asia, and South America tournaments, with the devs helping out with thousands of dollars worth of in-game prizes and giveaways, as well as straight cash and spectator clients with Coolmark casting it. COL Winter was the start of the new era of Critical Ops, one that would see the new titans and players forming, one where new tourney hosts and even old ones would eventually come back. 2020 was the year of the return of Critical Ops. The devs even began to host their own tournaments, called Critical Ops Circuits. We have now reached the conclusion of Season 3 of the circuits with a $20,000 prize pool. The views aren't quite what they used to be, and even now in 2021, there hasn't been as many community tournaments as there were back in 2020 and 2018, but there still is hope. The biggest problems that the scene has now is a new generation of players who are very, very toxic towards each other. Not to mention, a lot of these players clan hop. They just form a team one day, and then the week later they'll disband this team and go to a new team. Orgs won't come back unless this community changes itself for the better. Whether you still play Critical Ops, just started, or used to play Critical Ops, it will always remain one of the best FPS mobile games to ever exist. The memories will live on forever, whether the scene and the game do or not. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe and share this video. Also, drop a like rating and go comment now and give me feedback. I love you all and hope you have a great day.